We begin in central Gaza, where an Israeli airstrike on the grounds of Al-Aqsa Hospital has killed at least 4 Palestinians and injured dozens. Video from the scene shows people struggling to contain a major fire overnight. Rescue teams scrambling to rescue survivors. The attack hit tents where many displaced Palestinians had been sheltering near the hospital building. Gaza's media office says this is the 7th time this year that Israel has targeted the grounds of Al-Aqsa Hospital, killing Palestinians who were forced to flee their homes. Also in central Gaza, Israeli artillery shelling on a school has killed at least 22 Palestinians. The facility, northwest of Al-Nusayrat, was sheltering displaced people when the attack happened late on Sunday. Most of the victims were women and children. Al Jazeera's Hani Mahmoud joins us live from Deir el-Balah. That's in central Gaza. Hani, you're just outside Al-Aqsa Hospital. It's where you've been reporting from, and that is where the attack took place yesterday. Can you run us through what happened? When did it happen? Who was in those tents?
Yes, sir. Well, I'm standing about 50 meters away from the tent site that was bombed in overnight, multiple airstrikes. And according to what we keep hearing from eyewitnesses, the bombs went off for quite some time, preventing anyone from the local community here that was set up by these tents. The paramedics, the civil defense, we could not approach the site because of the fire that was spreading everywhere. And the bombs that were going off, what is believed to be these were multiple. This is one bomb, but packed with the smaller bombs that kept going off as the time was going by. 50 meters away from the site, from the bombed sites here, and this is not the first time we're seeing this happening. It's the seventh time, the seventh time in a row this is happening. Many of the displaced families are inside Al-Aqsa Hospital here, sheltering and have been sheltering for the past year since they've been forced into evacuation from different parts of the Gaza, mainly from the northern part of the Strip, and more recently from Khan Yunis and from Rafah city, as the ground operation is still going on. These are civilian population, hundreds of displaced families inside these tents at past midnight when the strike happened. Everybody was still inside these tents. They were either trying to sleep or they were already sleeping when the attack happened. 4 people have been killed, and judging from what we saw in the morgue of the hospital here, we arrived here at early hours and we've seen the bodies inside the morgue of the hospital fully incinerated. They were burned beyond recognition. Many of the surviving family members, only because they were here at the hospital, they were able to recognize the bodies because they were removed from the tents that they identified, those tents who they belong to. That's the only way that helped them to recognize and identify the bodies inside the morgue of the hospital. Behind me here, the operating theater and the emergency department, where more than 40 people brought into the emergency department with various injuries, including the burns, severe burns. And I did walk inside the emergency department. I saw many of the cases still on the floor of the emergency department. Again, there is no medical care whatsoever. There is no proper medical care to intervene and save lives. People are, particularly the women and the children inside the emergency department, are crying and screaming because of the pain that they are enduring due to the severe burn. The operating theater here is quite busy, packed, and people will have to wait until the end of the day or early hours of tomorrow just to have a surgery performed on the injuries that they have sustained. And there's always a risk that these people will lose their life because the lack of pain medication, the lack of other necessities needed in the hospital are not available as of now.
Hani, thank you very much for that comprehensive account of what happened sometime after midnight overnight. And just before we go to our next guest, I'm going to recap what you've told us, that hundreds of people, families, have been sheltering in the compound of Al-Aqsa Hospital. That's in the central part of the Gaza Strip. It has been hit multiple times, 7 times over the past year. We're talking about civilians in this compound. 4 people were killed, children walking out of the tents on fire. Dr. Fahd Al Haddad is the head of the emergency department at Al-Aqsa Hospital. He's been treating victims of this attack. Thank you very much for giving us just a little bit of your time at this very urgent moment. What kind of injuries have you been seeing? What kind of patients have been receiving overnight at the emergency department?
Well, thank you for introducing me, first of all. And what happened yesterday, it's not the first time. This is approximately the seventh time that happened an attack inside the hospital of Al-Aqsa Hospital, one of 3 hospitals, governmental, that's still working in this war after the rest is out of the service. So we are speaking about an attack happened after midnight, which was a strike at a tent of the displaced people who are living inside the hospital. And this was having a big fire, and this big fire actually spread towards the surrounding of the tents, the other tents, which making very highly fire yesterday and trying to make this fire off since yesterday, and just in the early morning they stopped. So we received about 50 injured people inside the emergency department, which this emergency department is already having a lot of casualties, which they are already inside the department and no place even and inside the ward to transfer them to take a proper health care. So we received in this attack 50 injuries. Most of these injuries was actually a massive burn. This massive burns could consider it as a 3rd degree and 2nd degree, 3rd degree burns, which need to a burn unit, which is not available inside the Al-Aqsa Hospital. So we tried our best to do and to give these people what we can, these patients, from a proper healthcare, that we don't have any, the supplies is very leakage, and even the medications, we have a leak on it. So because of that, we tried our best to life-saving for this burn patients, from the airways securing, from the burn caring, according to the burn protocols, as much as we can to help them. And the other also people that
Doctor, can you pause for a second? Who were the patients coming in? I understand, of course, they were the Palestinians who were living in the tents. I'm asking you this because I saw children walking out of those tents on fire. How many children? I don't need an exact number, but just give us a sense of who was coming into the hospital at the emergency department.
Who was coming to the emergency department? The majority, of course, was from the children and the women. As usual, we have the most majority is women and children. So also we have an adult patients, and also we have a geriatric patients, which they are all over 65 of age. So because of that, they came yesterday with this burns and with this explosive injuries, which they need also. We transferred some patients urgently to the operating theater to do an exploration to see if there's any bleeding inside to stop it. So we are actually working in very hard circumstances, and this type of injuries making us need for more facilities and more facilities and more medications and supplies that to give in a proper way. Most of these people and these patients, they were inside the emergency, and they were in the floor. So we are treating them on the floor.
The patients who came in requiring emergency medical treatment for 3rd-degree burns, what's happening to them now, and what will happen to them in the near future, and will they be able to get the care that they actually require?
What we are trying to do is only to secure the patient and to stabilize as much as we can. Mostly, or actually, if the burn is 3rd degree and there is no caring or there is no burn unit specialized in this issue, and especially if the burn is total body surface area is over than 40 or 50% of the total body surface area, actually we cannot prevent even the side effects or the complications that they will go on through. Example, sepsis, multi-organ failures because of this burns. So because of that, actually, we are trying to connect. And
do you have many patients who are in that condition with more than 40, 50% burns over their body?
Yes, we have approximately now 5 of these patients, and they need to be transferred to the nearest place that they can give this service. And we are trying to connect some field hospitals and even the governmental hospitals, which they are actually bigger than the Al-Aqsa Hospital, as the European Hospital or Nasser Medical Complex in Khan Yunis, that they can take, because even, by the way, we have a problem in the places and in the spaces. We don't have too much spaces here in the Al-Aqsa Hospital because it's a small hospital and they serve only 350,000 people. Now we are serving in the middle zone of Gaza approximately 1 million people. So we are having actually a very hard situation in giving the service, even not for the trauma or for the mass casualty, even for the medical cases that they are coming. We are having a problem, especially in the spaces and in the about the spaces inside the hospital and the beds. This is the main problem.
Dr. Fahd Al Haddad, we'll let you get back to work. There are patients who require your emergency care. You are the head of the emergency department at Al-Aqsa Hospital. That's in the central part of the Gaza Strip. Thank you so much for your time today.
Make sure to subscribe to our channel to get the latest news from Al Jazeera.